The Father, Son, the Holy Spirit. احنا طبعا ابونا النهضة بدون ابونا كلش ما تنفعش، صح كده؟ لان هو ما امنا عذراء والترانيم والالحان، حتى هو لما بيجي له دعوات يروح في كنايس بره يقول ما اقدرش اسيب العذراء. فاعتقد قلت له احنا عاطينك حل بكده والشعب ما يقدرش ما يشوفكش هنا في الكنيسه يعني. ربنا يخليكم دايما ويخلي ابونا الكنيسه دايما يعني. In the name of the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit, one God, Amen. Actually, the topic tonight actually about one of the characters in the Bible, Nehemiah. Can you get the book of Nehemiah, chapter 1? Nehemiah, okay. What do you know about Nehemiah? Anybody knows about Nehemiah? Who's Nehemiah? Can somebody share with me? ما تتكسفش. طب is Nehemiah Old Testament ولا New Testament? New Testament? طب okay. Actually, the name is actually Old Testament, okay. Actually, I'm going to speak today about Nehemiah because he's a very beautiful character. If you noticed the theme of this year, we actually, one day we'll talk about from Romans chapter 8, we're going from verse 1 all the verse 10. Then 2 days we'll talk about Romans chapter 8, and one day we use a character. يعني أبونا Michael Shreel, when he was here, he talked about one of the characters, Joseph. يعني. For today we talk about Nehemiah. Nehemiah, number one, he was a very normal person. Very normal person. He's not really coming from a big tribe or very well known or very famous. Very simple guy. And sadly, he was taken in captivity in a town called Shushan. When he went to Shushan, this town here, God somehow he find the grace in the eyes of the king. For the king actually chose him to become a cup bearer or cup holder for him. And by the way, this is a very important position. This is the same position that Daniel was actually when he worked for the king. Because actually he's responsible for the safety of the king. Whatever the king drink, he makes sure that it's no poison in it or anything wrong with it. For therefore, his job is basically working directly with the king. Sitting next to the king. He know the king very well, the king know him very well. So actually during the exile, when he was exiled, left at his hometown, Jerusalem, actually he had a very beautiful job. When you work directly to the president or you report to him, that's a big job. Not only that, what happened to Nehemiah actually, while he was during the exile in this town, Shushan, he was waiting for somebody to tell him any good news about what's happening in his country. Because he was taken as a captive, yet actually he heard that Jerusalem are really destroyed. Sadly enough, one of the people, his name is Hanna, we'll find this in verse 2, Hanna, came and tell him a bad news. Tell him, by the way, the wall of Jerusalem is down. And everybody living far away from God. Everybody was drifting away from God. But the key word of Nehemiah's mind, the wall of Jerusalem is down. You know, during the time of Nehemiah, what makes a country strong if they have a good sower, walls around the country. Because when you have a good walls, that means nobody cannot get in. Nobody cannot penetrate. For they tell him, sadly, the wall of Jerusalem is down, which means anybody can get in, anybody can destroy the country, and really there's no boundaries in this country here. He was very sad when he heard this. I want to tell you one thing about Nehemiah, because can you imagine kada hear bad news about your own country, Egypt? What's your reaction? Nehemiah, by the way, loved his own country. And Nehemiah loved his own people. And Nehemiah also loved Jerusalem. He loved Jerusalem. It's my hometown. All of us coming here to United States of America, each one of us here, you always relate to your own hometown. You love your hometown. You have a great memory. For Nehemiah, actually, during the exile, and yet he had a very big position, working directly with the king, living a very luxury life. He's still thinking about his own people. He's caring about his people. He wanted to know what's happening. Sadly enough, he said, I will read it for you actually, when he heard, they told him, you know what, the country, the Jerusalem is, the walls are broken down, and its gate burned out with fire. I love Nehemiah's reaction, by the way. What's your reaction when somebody come and tell you, look, by the way, you do not know what's happening in Egypt? It reminds me during the time of Morsi. I remember all of us were sitting and standing and praying. And remember, actually, somebody came to Abuna. That's why we have a liturgy on Tuesday. Uncle Ralph Yanni came to Abuna Murus and myself and said, you know what, can we start a liturgy on Tuesday? Because the only way to help us to fight for our people in Egypt, we need to have a liturgy dedicated to really our people who struggle in Egypt. And from that time until now, we still pray the liturgy every Tuesday. Nehemiah actually did the same thing. Look at the reaction of Nehemiah. Verse 7, follow with me. Verse 4. So it was when I heard those words that I sat down and wept and mourned for many days. I was fasting and praying before the God of heaven. What an amazing reaction. When he heard the news, he said with himself, he said, what should I do with my people? I know I have a big position in my where I am right now during my exile. He sat down and wept and crying. Not only that, he mourned for many days. And the key here basically is started praying for his own people. And that's number one lesson for us when you hear about your own country, your own home, something happening. What's your action? Nehemiah acted in an amazing way. He said with himself, he have a quiet time, he prayed and he mourned for many days. And then Nehemiah decided, you know what? I have to do something. I have to do something. So what Nehemiah actually decided, he said, you know what? I will go to the king and talk to the king. And somebody can get in chapter 2, please. Then he went to the king. So number one, he started praying. And look what happened. When he went to the king told him, why you are sad? He gave him the cup to drink the wine. I said, why you are sad? We are not happy. Fellow, you know what? I have to be unhappy because my people is struggling. My people is struggling. And you know what? I'm in distress. I'm sad. For the king asked him, what do you want me to do for you? What's the amazing request? Look what happened when the king asked him. He said, verse 4, he said, then the king said to me, what do you request? So I prayed to the God of heaven. I want to put verse 4 underline a little bit. So the king asked him, what do you want? You know the reaction of Nehemiah is? He started praying. Praying. He said, look, God give me grace and wisdom when I speak to the king. I know he loves me, but can he really accept my request to go back to Jerusalem, to rebuild the wall of Jerusalem? And that's why he told him, look, you know what? After that, he talked to the king, and he requested from the king that really, he told him, look, I want to go back to Jerusalem. I want to build the wall of Jerusalem. I want to build the wall of Jerusalem. And you find the theme of Nehemiah, of the book of Nehemiah in verse 17. He said, I said to them, then the king actually landed him, wrote a letter to him. I give you a letter so everybody will help you. He took the letter, he ran to Jerusalem right away. And as soon as he arrived to Jerusalem, he finds so many objections, by the way, from so many people. People give him a very difficult time. Normally, when somebody trying to do what's right for his country, sometimes he find a lot of resistance. He find a lot of resistance. And you know what happened? He said to them, you see the distress? And the last part actually, come. And he told everybody, I'm coming with one simple message. Come, let's build the wall of Jerusalem, that we may no longer be a reapproach. Come, let's build the wall of Jerusalem. I'm going to come and listen. And then Nehemiah went back home, and he actually went to home. He actually, in his mind, there's one thing only: how can I build the wall of Jerusalem? What should I do? Because the first thing I want to do, I want boundaries. And Nehemiah actually, when he got there, actually he did a few things. Actually, not only build the wall, he was taking care of the people very well. As much as he finds so much resistance from everyone, but it seemed like the letter from the king helped him a lot. And not only that, he take care of the poor and needy in the country itself. You find people are really struggling. Not only that, he took care of the spirituality of the people. At the time of Nehemiah, by the way, was a man, his name is Azariah the priest. Azariah the priest was a very beautiful man. Actually, he came before Nehemiah to build the Jerusalem also. So he allowed Azariah the priest to take care of the people, the spirituality of the people. And Nehemiah started focusing on one thing only. Let me focus on one thing only. I want to rebuild the wall of Jerusalem. So he became a leader and led the people actually to build the wall of Jerusalem. And if you want to read the book of Nehemiah this week, when you come back home, hopefully one day, you will find the theme of the book of Nehemiah is one thing only: Let's build the wall of Jerusalem. Let's build the wall of Jerusalem. The David the prophet and the king, when he fell down into sin, he said, you know what? Build the wall of Jerusalem. The wall of Jerusalem is my heart. I need to build boundary around myself here. Nehemiah actually was a great leader. Great leader. He actually became a leader for 12 years. Then somehow he had to go back to the king, Shushan, which is the town. And then he stayed there for a while. Then he came back and continued his job as a leader. And he built actually I think he built the wall of Jerusalem in 52 days. Yet he find so many people resisting him. People who tell him, who are you? And people give him a hard time. And basically, Nehemiah was one thing great about him. Nehemiah considered, if you study leadership, and there's so many books about leadership. I forgot to actually get the book with me about leadership and boundaries. And Nehemiah actually, one of the great people actually, talks about boundaries and leadership. Matter of fact, when you search Google, one of the greatest leader in the Old Testament, one of the greatest leader means in the Bible, you'll find one person, Nehemiah. Nehemiah was a great leader, actually, great leader. And the leadership started two things, by the way. Number one, his relationship with the Lord. Nehemiah, when you go back to chapter 1, you hear one of the most amazing emotional prayer. He prayed the prayer. Actually, I was going to tonight focus on the prayer. But I said tonight I'm going to focus on one thing only. I want to focus on let's build the wall of Jerusalem, which is the theme. The prayer of Nehemiah is unbelievable. Let me just read a little bit. Then I said and pray, Lord God of heaven, O great and awesome God. You see what he's doing right now? He started his prayer by doing one thing only, praising God. Exactly how we do in the liturgy here. When we started the liturgy after and the prayer of the reconciliation, O God, the great, the eternal. He started the same thing. How awesome, how great you are. He's not complaining to God, telling him, by the way, God, I'm not happy with you. My people, your people, Jerusalem, I'm in distress right now. I'm in exile. What happened to us? Where are you, God? But I love the way Nehemiah started his prayer. How great and awesome God. And number two, actually started reminding God with his own promises. He's telling God, you know what? Oh, you keep his covenant and his mercy to those who love him and observe his commandment. Tell him, God, you know what? We love you. Where are you? You are great. And I know one thing about you, God. You keep your covenant and your mercy to those who love him. Look at another. Please let your ear be attentive and your eyes open, that you may hear the prayer of your servant, which I pray before you now, day and night, for the children of Israel and your servant. And he tell him, we can confess the sin of the children of Israel. You notice one thing هنا, بيقول ربنا ايه حاجة حلوة قوي. بيقول له, by the way, be attention to me. تعرف when somebody talking to somebody, بيقول له, by the way, I'm talking to you and you give me your back. He said, please, can you look at me? I'm talking to you right now. But that's what exactly he's telling God, by the way, look, please let your ear be attentive to me. بكلمك, listen to me. And not your eyes open to me. And not only that, he said, I confess my sin and my people's sin. And طبعا it's a long prayer. I want you, when you go home, one of the most amazing, beautiful prayer you pray is Nehemiah's prayer, actually. Matter of fact, one time I was in Barnes & Noble, but they close right now. I find the book actually it's called The Power of Prayer from the Bible. And this writer actually wrote all the prayer in the Bible. And Nehemiah's prayer actually call it, when you really want to build the business, read the book of the prayer of Nehemiah. He has like a different prayer when Solomon opened dedicate the altar. Actually he said how beautiful to pray from the Bible. I was actually trying to reach the writer because I told him, by the way, the Coptic Orthodox Church knew that long time ago. They established a book, it's called the Book of Ishbiah, and how beautiful to pray from the Bible. And that's what the Ishbiah, the beauty about the Ishbiah, you pray from the Bible here. So we talked about Nehemiah, his power in one thing only, prayer. And when he prayed, he really put his heart to it. Even as I show you, when he went to meet the king asked him, what do you want me to do for you? He said, look, let me pray first. For Nehemiah, the power of Nehemiah in his life is the power of prayer. How is your prayer? How is your Ishbiah? Don't waste too much time, basically كده. Come to the Nahda, but you do not pray with the Ishbiah. The Ishbiah and the prayer is the power that you and I have. Prayer can do miracles. I remember one time I was having an argument with one of the youth about prayer. And tell me, Abuna, I do not feel God listen to our prayers anymore. Prayer do not work. So we're actually in the car together, and I see a car in the front of me with a big bumper sticker written on it, prayer still works. فقلت له that's it. Prayer still works. Prayer still works. For the power of Nehemiah, one thing only, prayer. Number two, actually, the power of Nehemiah, which is the theme of Nehemiah, chapter 2, verse 17. I wanted to say it together. Come, let us build the wall of Jerusalem. Let's say it together. Come, let's build. Come, let us build the wall of Jerusalem. One more time. Come. He repeated the same thing, actually, the same message of Nehemiah in chapter 8 also. He said, let's rise up, build the wall of Jerusalem. Many, when you read a book about leadership of Nehemiah, he was actually one of the great things about leader. He was focusing on the issue. He's focusing on one thing. I want to build the wall. That's all I want to do. Then you want to fight with me, you want to disagree with me, that's fine. But let's all of us build the wall of Jerusalem. And he kept this beautiful message to everybody until he built the wall of Jerusalem in 52 days, which is something impossible. But it seemed like God working his hand here. For today, I want to talk to you about really the message of Nehemiah. What is the message of Nehemiah here? The message of Nehemiah is one thing, a very encouraging message. Let us build the wall of Jerusalem. You know what I mean by build? Basically, it's talking about one thing very important in our life, boundaries. Boundaries are a very important aspect in my life and your life here. What defines us as a Christian is our boundaries. So what Nehemiah actually was telling everybody, I want you to help with me. I want to build the wall. Let's build boundaries. So nobody can get in. No Satan can get in. No enemy can get to us here. So I want to speak today about boundaries. What makes a society successful? Boundaries. What makes a relationship successful? Boundaries. What makes a house successful? Boundaries. Children, I know you hear your parents give you a lot of direction. You have to come in a certain time. But that's good for you because boundaries are good. Boundaries are something to help us all save. I remember one of our mission trip to Egypt. We were actually leaving Beni Suef going to Red Sea. For the driver at night, some of the youth came معايا. قلت لهم I drove the bus, but I did not drive the bus. Then everybody went to sleep, and the driver was basically driving almost, I would say 175, and he was flying, and I could not sleep. I was basically fighting with him. كنت بصلي بقول يا رب, where are the police? Can give him a big ticket. Honestly, because the police, it's good for us. They are really building boundaries for us. They are really protecting us. So I was praying, I said, where are the radars here, okay? طبعا, good luck. What makes a society successful? Boundaries. What makes a relationship good? Boundaries. When your parents are really set certain boundaries in your house, that's good because that's something to protect you. Boundaries are made to protect us. What makes even a relationship successful is boundaries. The boundaries are really good. Tomorrow I will bring the book with me. I forgot the book at home. It's called Boundaries. Amazing book, actually. I wish all of you. Even the 10 Commandments, in the book of Boundaries, talk about the 10 Commandments, actually. He said, by the way, the 10 Commandments, when God gave it to Moses, was not 10 rules, by the way. They were actually 10 boundaries, how to love God. The first tablet, how to love God. The second tablet has 6 commandments, how to love others. So he said, do not look at them as commandment or rules I have to follow. Sorry, when you and I take the car and drive on the highway 65 miles or 50 miles, it's not about, I can drive 9 miles an hour, but it's for my safety. It's something good for me. It's for my safety. For therefore, when the Lord God gave the 10 commandments, for actually something to help me to love God stronger, to make our love concrete. The boundaries are good. Boundaries make the love between us and for the first 4 commandment talks about how to love God. And here is a boundary. Do not mention his name in vain. Honor his day. The respect of the day of the Lord. And here's another 6 commandment, another tablet. Another boundaries, how to love others. If something not belong to you, do not take it. Do not steal. That's boundaries. Do not commit adultery, which means respect the gift of sexuality that God gave it to you. When even, you know what? When you do not swear, do not respect what God commanded you. For boundaries are good for me. And I hope all of you can take 1 second. Do you have your own boundaries? Do you have your own boundaries? We need boundaries in our life. Boundaries are good. Boundaries are good, Yani. The goal of the commandment was basically to build the boundaries, how to love God here. And as I mentioned, this book here, it's called Boundaries. It's an amazing book. I will give you a beautiful quote. Boundaries is not an effort, but a strategy. Boundaries is not an effort. And when you study Nehemiah, by the way, how he built the boundaries to build the wall of Jerusalem, it's not about an effort for him. He had a certain strategy how to build the wall of Jerusalem. But it's not just only an effort, but it's a way to connect with the people, the way to put a line, to put a certain standard here. We all need boundaries. In the book, actually, I mentioned here, chapter, page 85, talk about different type of boundaries that we need in our life. Yani, for example, you need relationship boundaries. You need family boundaries. You need social boundaries. You need also physical boundaries, especially when you're in a relationship. You need also emotional boundaries. You need even parentinghood boundaries, very important. The boundaries are very important for us. And the most important I want to take for a few minutes is spiritual boundary. All of us as a Christian here, what different between us and somebody else? As I was given a baptism to somebody today, I said, by the way, the Mayrun, through it the person become consecrated to the Lord, which will answer any question, a struggle. Sometimes it's okay, Abuna, to go out and do this. All things are lawful to me, but not everything is suitable. This is my boundaries. My boundary, I have, everything is good, I can do anything. But not everything is good to me. I was listening to, reading an article by one of the famous singers, right? And I said, look, you know what? Since people will judge you, do whatever you want. That's no boundary here. She's a famous singer. But sadly enough, what she said is wrong. Because it's not what you want. You must have to have a boundary. Our boundary is the Bible. Our boundary is the Bible here. Boundaries are very good. Setting a spiritual boundary will help you to have a healthy relationship with the Lord. I'm going to say this again. Setting a spiritual boundary will help you to have a healthy relationship with the Lord. You want to have a good, healthy relationship with the Lord? Start thinking about setting a spiritual boundary, especially if you're a servant in the church. You have your own boundary as a servant. You have your own boundary. And all of us as a Christian, we are a follower. Today the gospel is about Levi. When the Lord God told him, follow me. You are a follower of Christ. You are a follower. All of us are followers of Christ. But we need to have our own boundaries. Nehemiah was so much on one thing only. Build the wall of Jerusalem, which about one thing only. I need to build the boundaries here. I quote also from the Bible, boundaries are principal property lines that define who you are. I can tell who you are from your own boundaries. I can tell who you are. Are you a true Christian, not a Christian, not true Christian? By your own boundaries. When you have certain boundaries you have to follow, I can tell what you believe and what you're not to believe here. The boundaries define your identities. If I want to define who you are and your identity as a Christian, show me your boundaries. Show your boundaries. Boundaries are very important. If you do not have a clear set of boundaries, believe me, you will struggle a lot in your life. If you do not have if you do not have a clear set of boundaries, you will always struggle in your life. So if you feel like life is going too fast, cannot keep up with it, you feel you are lost, sit with yourself and establish your own boundaries. If you cannot do that, go see your father of confession and sit with your father of confession and build the boundaries. Even in your prayer, you need a boundary. In your relationship with you need a boundary. With friends, you need the boundaries. Boundaries are very important. And today, the message of Nehemiah, let's build walls. Let's build boundaries. Let's establish certain boundaries. Boundary will help you to set your priority. Your priority. Daniel himself, you know Daniel and the three children of Israel, Hananiah, Azariah, and Mishael, he was actually taken also as a captive. During his captivity, they choose him to work for the king. And they tell him, look, the servant tell him, I want to feed you very good. I want to have you to eat strong food because you're going to be appearing before the king. But Daniel tell him, no, but we cannot eat this kind of food here. Maybe possibility that was basically that kind of food, meat offered to the idols and they do not need it. Whatever reason, they refused. And Daniel chapter 1 verse 8, a beautiful verse, he said, Daniel purposed in his heart that he will not defile himself, not to eat from this fine food, because he felt that this food will defile him. And then Daniel and the children of Israel have a strong boundaries. And then look at what Daniel, God praised Daniel and God saved Daniel. Boundaries are very important for us. Let us, all of us together, I hope all of you today think about Nehemiah and think about how Nehemiah is asking us tonight, let's build the wall of Jerusalem. Let's build boundaries. Meet your father of confession. Sit with yourself. Put your own boundaries. And say with Nehemiah, come, let us build the wall of Jerusalem. I'm going to mention quickly 5 things about Nehemiah. Help him to help his boundary. Number 1, power of prayers. Nehemiah, the reason he built a strong boundary to build the wall of Jerusalem, it comes from one thing only, his prayers. He loved the prayer. He loved the prayer to the point that he appointed a priest to be with him, just to help him. Number 2, actually, he was be honest and direct. That will help you to help have a boundary with yourself. Number 3, always when you're trying to set the boundaries, try to think about pleasing God, not pleasing others. This is very important. When you start in my boundaries, I want to sit with myself, I need to please God, not to please others. Number 4, actually, when you sit with yourself to try to establish a boundary, set your priorities. What comes first? Set your priorities, very important. Nehemiah, when he went to Jerusalem back home, he said, look, I'm not going to get distracted. I know so many people against me, but my priority is one thing only. I want to build the wall first. In 50 days, I want to get it done. Then you want to get rid of me, that's fine, but let's build the wall of Jerusalem. Number 5, which is the last point, amazing thing, listen to learn about Nehemiah, which maybe one day we can talk about him. A strong will. You cannot imagine the objection and the resistance that he received, Nehemiah. May the Lord God help all of us to have a spiritual boundary, to establish a boundary for ourselves, yani. And may God give us the beautiful attitude that He gave it to Nehemiah. Let's say it together. Nehemiah chapter 2, verse 17. Very simple verse. Come, let us build the wall of Jerusalem. One more time. Come. That's Nehemiah. Nehemiah's message to everyone today. Come, let's build the wall of Jerusalem. May God bless you and glory be to God forever and ever. Amen. Just هعمل سمري بالعربي in 3 minutes. كنت بتكلم على نحامية. كلكم عارفين نحامية صح؟ طب خلاص بدل عارفين اقول لكم ايه بقى خلاص. كله هز راسه هنا. طب نحامية ده من في العهد القديم ولا العهد الجديد؟ طب خلاص يبقى عارفينه. انا كنت هقول لكم على حاجة بس مش هقولها عشان الوعظ يعني على جحا يعني بس. اقولها؟ لا لا لا. نحامية كان شخص عادي جدا وهو كان في النفي وكان في بلد اسمها شوشان وكان بيعمل هو اللي بيشتغل مع الكينج كان ماسك هو اللي هو بيشرب الكينج وكان هو في النفي سمع اخبار البلد بتاعه صعبه قوي قوي يقول لك لما سمعت كده جلست مع نفسي وصليت وبكيت وبدأ يصلي ربنا وطبعا راح بعد كده قابل الملك وقال له يا رب اديني نعمه في عين الملك لما اكلمه يسمع كلامي. الملك لما لقى كده قال له عايز ايه؟ قال له انا عايز ارجع تاني بلدي ابني البلد بتاعتي لان اسوار اورشليم مهدوده. فاول ما قال له كده يعني قال له طب خلاص ارجع. فطبعا هو اعطى له جواب ورجع بلده. وكان نهمية قوه نهمية هتلاقوها في حاجتين. قوه نهمية كانت في الصلاه. حتى لما راح قبل الملك اول حاجه عملها قال اول ملك قال له عايز اعمل لك ايه؟ قال له لا واقف صلى الاول يعني. وفي تشابتر 1 كنت بقول ان هو برضو كان بدأ يصلي هنا. واتكلمنا على الكتاب نهمية في 1 ثيم او 1 مسج مهمه جدا. هتلاقوها في نحمية 2 عدد 17 اللي هو ايه؟ هلما نبني اسوار ايه؟ فنبني سور اورشليم ولا نكون بعدا في ايه؟ عارا. ولا نكون مش عايزين يكون عندنا عار. فقال لهم عشان نتغلب عن العار ده اول حاجه لازم نعملها ايه؟ نبني اسوار اورشليم هنا. طبعا هو راح ولقى مقاومه جباره جدا. ولكن نحمية كان قوي وجبار جدا وكان بيحب الناس جدا بصراحة يعني قوته حب الناس جدا وكان مهتم بالفقراء واهتم بيهم روحيا حتى جاب عزاريا الكاهن وقال له تمسك انت روحيات الشعب هنا. وبعد كده راح نحمية وبدأ يتكلم معاهم واتكلمت على ان كان هدف الاصحاح بتاع نحمية لما قلنا نبني اسوار اورشليم. كلنا في حياتنا عايزين نبني اسوار. كلنا عايزين نبني اسوار. في علاقتنا مع بعض لازم يكون في سور كده وفي حدود يعني. فاتكلمت على ما معنى الحدود، واتكلمنا في حياتنا في البيت، كل بيت له حدوده وكل مجتمع له حدود. اللي بيخلي مجتمع ناجح ان في حدود، مش اي واحد يعمل اللي عايز يعمله. في ممكن لو حد عمل غلط في بوليس فيمسكه. فالحدود او الحدود اللي اتكلمنا عليها النهارده والباوندريز مهمه جدا جدا، بتخلي المجتمع ناجح. يعني مجتمع بدون حدود يبقى مش مجتمع مجتمع فاشل. واحنا يمكن كلنا نريليت للموضوع في مصر بعد مرسي لما حصلت الثوره وكل واحد يدخل في اي بلد، كانت الناس بتطلع بتعمل اسوار لنفسها عشان مش عايزه حد يدخل البلد يعني. فاتكلمت على الحدود ومعنى الحدود، يعني مش بتكلم حدود مصر واسرائيل، بتكلم على حدود الانسان مع نفسه يعني. وقلنا في العلاقات ان عايزين في حدودنا، في علاقات، حدود في الاسره، حدود في الخدمه، حدود في العلاقه مع بعض، اللي هي الواحد يكون حدود. اتكلمنا على ان مهمه جدا جدا، لان اللي بيقرر مين انت هو حدودك انت او الباوندرز بتاعتك بتكون انت حدودك، او اللي بتحدده لنفسك هو اللي بيقرر منه. واتكلمنا لو عايز تبني 5 حاجات تتعلمهم من نحمية. اول حاجه كانت في نحمية قوه الصلاه. لو في عايز تبني حدود فكر في الصلاه. في قوه نحمية برضو كان دايما امين مع نفسه ومع الاخرين. نحمية كان دايما بيفكر ازاي ان انا اسعد ربنا مش اسعد الاخرين، يعني بليزنج جاد. نحمية كان اول شيء لما شغل قلبه ورجع اورشليم قال لك البيوريتي بتاعتي، الاولويات بتاعتي واخر حاجه كانت حلوه في نحمية ان كان عنده اراده قويه جدا. قال لك انا راجع والهدف بتاعي حاجه واحده بس، نبني اسوار اورشليم. فريت النهارده كل واحد يتامل في نحمية ويقول له رب علمني كيف ابني اسوار حوالين قلبي، كيف ابني اسوار في بيتي، كيف ابني اسوار في حياتي، ولنا كل المجد والكرامه للابد امين.